Welcome to Starfish YouTube channel. Today we delve into the inspiring story of Martin Luther King Jr. A beacon of hope and a tireless advocate for rights, equality, and justice in American society. Martin Luther King Jr. was the face of perseverance for every victim. He is one of the most important political leaders of America who worked for human rights and destroyed the racial barriers present in the society. Martin Luther King Jr. was a transformative figure whose thoughts and actions reshaped the world. His life, marked by persistent struggles, was dedicated to the pursuit of rights, equality, and justice for all. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. His father, Martin Luther King Sr., was a doctor and religious teacher deeply involved in the fight for civil rights. His mother, Alberta Williams King, was also a dedicated social worker. In childhood, Martin Luther King Jr. paid attention to important issues of justice and equality. Political and social ideology played a major role in his family. His family taught him the importance of religion and the values of humanity, which inspired him at every step of his life. Martin Luther King Jr. was named Michael at birth. Growing up in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, Martin also faced racial differences, which were deeply ingrained in society. Although his mother taught him to read and write before he went to school, Martin Luther King Jr.'s real education began when he enrolled in David T. Howard Elementary School at the age of 5. Martin Luther King Jr. was a part of the school's debate team for several years before graduating from Washington High School at the age of 15. This is a very special part of Martin Luther King Jr.'s education. Martin Luther King Jr. received his early education at Servian College, where he earned a degree in philosophy. After completing his studies, he received a bachelor's degree in theology from Boston University. He participated in many unique and interesting events during his college days, which gave him a chance to showcase his motivation and leadership skills. One day, he started a new club in the College Student Union whose aim was to promote harmony and equality in the society. Through this club, he tried to bring together different students and raised his voice for justice and equality in the society. Martin Luther King Jr. was an active member of the College Drama and Poetry Club and enjoyed expressing his feelings in plays and poems. His presentations and poems were always very popular among his fellow students. Towards the end of Martin Luther King Jr.'s schooling, he got a chance to expand his academic horizons as many students were joining the Second World War. He took a test for high school students at Morehouse College which gave him direct admission. After passing the test, Martin got a BA Sociology degree and also became a part of the college football team. In his last year of graduation, he thought of going into the ministry. But King, who was not a very good student in college, decided to pursue 3 years of theology at the University of Pennsylvania Theology Seminary. These 3 years proved to be important for Martin Luther King Jr. because his heart was set on social work and he chose the path of devotion to do so. During his Bachelor of Divinity, which he completed in 1951, Martin got the opportunity to know many famous people like Mahatma Gandhi, who changed Martin's views for a lifetime. King also began doctoral studies in systematic theology from Boston University, focusing on spiritual activities. He completed his educational journey and completed his PhD in 1955. This quality education helped Martin to express his views openly and connect with people. It was this education that instilled in him the ideas of equality, justice and other social activists like Mahatma Gandhi. And there is no doubt that the roots of racial equality in America grew only after the efforts of people like Martin Luther King Jr. It is easy to give in to insurmountable obstacles, and sometimes it seems like the only option. Racial discrimination was ingrained in the USA from the time it was formed. Even the law seemed to be no exception. In this situation, leaders used their determination to demand what was theirs. Martin Luther King also demanded change with great enthusiasm. And as we all know, these efforts were rewarded wonderfully. While working for racial equality, Martin Luther King faced a lot of opposition. The protesters threatened him and his house was even bombed. Facing these oppositions with the law, he never gave up his ideas. He stood up for his people until he was killed in an attack during a peace march. While working for racial equality, he understood that the ultimate goal was not to take revenge for the past but to end this practice. Hatred in hearts can become an obstacle in creating equality, so Martin Luther King chose the best option for work, which was nonviolence and love. Love for white people was visible in his protest, and this was the reason behind the success of his movement. It was a progressive step because of compassion and forgiveness rather than hatred at its core. The year 1963 proved to be an important turning point in the history of America. This was the time when the civil rights movement was at its peak, and the demand for racial equality was gaining momentum. In this sequence, on August 28, 1963, a rally was held in Washington, D.C. The March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom was organized, which was written in golden letters in the pages of history. The purpose of this march was to raise voice against racial discrimination and demand economic equality. The march was led by prominent civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr. and A. Philip Randolph with John Lewis. About 250,000 people participated in this event, which was one of the largest and most peaceful rallies of that time. The highlight of the march was Martin Luther King Jr.'s iconic, "I Have a Dream" speech. In his powerful address, King envisioned an America free from the shackles of discrimination, where every individual would enjoy equal opportunities regardless of their skin color. His words, filled with hope and determination, continue to inspire and resonate deeply within American society today. Some of the main demands raised during the march were equal rights and equality before the law for all citizens, employment opportunities without racial discrimination, fair wages and better working conditions, racial integration in schools and improvement in the quality of education, strict action on civil rights violations. The march had a profound impact on America's government and society. President John F. Kennedy and later President Lyndon B. Johnson played key roles in pushing for civil rights laws. The march resulted in the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which marked significant progress in the legal battle against racial discrimination. Martin Luther King Jr. participated in the Selma to Montgomery March in 1965. The brutal attack on the struggling revolutionaries by the police was televised in American homes across the country. When the march ended in Montgomery, King delivered his "How Long, Not Long" speech, in which he predicted that equal rights for African Americans would be granted immediately. His words are still widely circulated today: "How long? Not long, for the circle of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." And 6 months later, President Lyndon Johnson vetoed the Voting Rights Act, disenfranchising Black American citizens. At 6 p.m. on Thursday, April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King was shot and killed while standing on the balcony outside his second-floor room at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. News of King's assassination sparked racial violence that resulted in more than 40 deaths and widespread property damage in more than 100 U.S. cities across the country. James Earl Ray, a 40-year-old fugitive, later confessed to the crime and was sentenced to 99 years in prison. A tape recording was played during King's funeral in which King explained how he wanted to be remembered after his death. "I would like someone to mention the day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others." The legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. is an extremely important and influential spark that has become a place of inspiration in the hearts of most people. He fought for justice with immense passion, integrity, and dedication. His brave and serene thoughts still show us the path of ideals. The depth of his ideology, the universal inspiration he brought to his movement, and the unforgettable legacy of his contributions have made him a universal icon. He dreamed of a society united without regard to color, caste, religion, and social status. A vital part of his journey was uniting people in the fight against collective dissent and injustice. Even today, his legacy inspires us to march towards true freedom, equality, and justice. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel Starfish.